Hello. I am once again doing an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. video. This is actually on last week's episode called Providence, not on the one that aired last night. Which I wouldn't mind talking about, but I want to give people time to see it if they haven't already. Providence involves the aftermath of the Hydra attack on S.H.I.E.L.D. facilities. Um, Coulson learns that a American military general is taking a whole squadron of people over to the hub where he and most of his team are, and he fears that they'll be detained. So he needs to, keep himself mobile and free to fight Hydra wherever it pops up. So he wants to take everyone in jet. Agent Triplet comes along at the request of Simmons, and Fitz doesn't seem to dig that too much. Fitz clearly is really into Simmons and hasn't said so thus far. Meanwhile, of course, as we have learned from the previous episode, spoiler alerts right now, if you haven't seen it yet, this last episode that I'm talking about, or the one before it, spoiler alert, time to shut off. Yes, time to shut off before I say the words. Okay, Garrett, of course, is Hydra, and so is Ward, and they are on their way to the hub to clear out all their wares. Before they do that, they release Reyna, aka the girl with the flower dress, and put her in charge of the project to figure out exactly how it was that they raised Coulson from the dead, because they still don't know. Garrett tells her that he packed as many different vials of medicine and other chemicals with him as he could when they visited that mountain facility, but of course he did not get his hands on the substance that brought Coulson and Skye back from the brink. He also did not see the aliens, so he's still in the dark about that. They also break Quinn out, Ian Quinn, and they're both pretty disappointed that Garrett isn't actually a real clairvoyant, someone who can tell the future. He says, "No, I've got high-level security clearance and a winning personality. That's about it." So they're on to take that situation, and we learned that the slingshot, the program that they use to put technology or other things that are too dangerous and rocket them up into space, is actually a fake. They've just been shooting empty rockets in the sky, and all this stuff is stored at the hub, which Garrett was able to learn, and so he manages to break in there and get the particle beam pulse weapon from the Peru episode, and they get their hands on the Berserker staff from the episode last fall where they had to deal with the Asgardians, plus the Gravitonium, which I knew was going to happen. They actually refer to the Gravitonium in the previous episode and the doctor that created it. So I'm like, oh, they're mentioning that again? Maybe that will come into play later on. It does seem quite powerful. And yeah, so all this stuff that's happened in these sort of standalone episodes is now all coming back in much the same way that the season 5 finale of Buffy the Vampire Slayer did. They had a few devices that they collected in previous episodes that they use in the battle against Glorificus at the end. Kind of reminded me of that. That's a nice way to do it. A lot of people complain about the sort of monster of the week nature of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. thus far, but it's been building up to this. So I'm sort of patient when it comes to that kind of thing. I wait and I see what Joss has in store. Of course, Joss doesn't write every single episode, but he's in charge, and his influence is felt very strongly throughout most of the series. Ward has a really good scene with Reyna in which he talks about what it takes to do what he does, and how he was able to infiltrate Coulson's team by acting like he didn't want to be a part of it. He says you'd be surprised how often you get invited to the party when you tell everyone you don't want to go. So yeah, he's quite sneaky, that guy. And in the end, of course, Chloe Bennett's character, Skye, asks, it tells him exactly where they are, the secret S.H.I.E.L.D. facility that they find. The only problem I have with this episode really is just the tedium of waiting for them to get to that S.H.I.E.L.D. bunker. Because I knew that they'd make it there. It was just a matter of how, and they're like, gee, we're wandering around the middle of the Canadian wilderness. It's cold outside. We're out here for nothing. Our jet's out of fuel. blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, be quiet. You're going to get there eventually, and they do. And there's all this frustration that they have over the fact that they are, being agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., they have no real authority anymore. And all that was just basically kind of a time killer until they got to the facility, where we find Patton Oswalt, of course. Patton Oswalt wasn't used to great effect in this episode, more in the next one, the one that just aired last night. He's got a lot of good moments in the newest episode. But yeah, he's overseeing the facility, and he tells everyone, this is a safe place. Fury sent you here, but he is dead. Or he doesn't actually explain that. He doesn't say anything like, in case something happened to Fury, I should beckon you guys here by sending the coordinates into the little digital display on Coulson's badge. But he says that Fury is in fact dead, and then of course he takes Coulson aside and says, okay, you have clearance to know that Fury is actually still alive, but we need to vet everyone else just to make sure, but as far as they're concerned, he's dead, but you need to know that he's still alive and what have you. What else? Yeah, okay, that I covered that. Right? Oh yeah. When Garrett's talking with one of his men, and he says, this is the plan, we're going to do this, this, and this. And the guy's like, Hail Hydra! Sticks his fist in the air. He's like, stop that, son. You look like a West Texas cheerleader at a pep rally. That was really funny. Coulson and May are still in very bad terms. In fact, May says, I need you to surrender your weapon to me because Fury might have initiated your surgery, the procedure, to bring you back to life again, but we don't know what people on the staff actually conducting the surgery might be involved with Hydra, which they could have inserted subliminal messages into your brain to get you to start acting on Hydra's behalf. And of course, Coulson isn't having any of that. She's like, you've been keeping secrets from us, on orders, of course, but still, you should really trust your team, and I'm not going to give you my weapon, blah, blah, blah. They'll patch things up eventually. And I have to say that Ming-Na Wen, who I felt was just a little bit too stoic for most of the series, actually is really good in this episode. It's my favorite episode of hers. She has some good moments with Coulson. Again, they're arguing as they're wandering through the snow, trying to find the coordinates they're supposed to get to. Got a little tedious just because I knew, they're going to get there eventually. I know that they're going to get there. We're just wasting time with this. What else? Oh yeah, Garrett has something on his side. The Bill Paxton character, Garrett, he's got some sort of metallic add-on. Presumably he was wounded. What is that thing? I don't know. We only see it briefly. Yeah. A good episode, but definitely one in which we're sort of just waiting for other stuff to happen. It's sort of a bridge episode between bigger and better things, like in the next one. And I'll talk about the episode that aired last night. Next week, I didn't get the chance to do this episode today, unfortunately. Yesterday. I got a Facebook hit, so that'll be cool. But yes, thank you for watching. That's my little take on Providence. And I was going to speculate on some stuff, but I don't remember exactly what that was. I'm just sort of watching to see what happens now. We already know now who the clairvoyant is. We know that Ward's a bad guy. We can pretty much assume that everyone else is cool. But the question is, whether or not Ward is actually going to be continuing on next season. If he really is a bad guy, if he's going to be still a covert Hydra agent on Coulson's team in the second season, we'll find out. Thank you very much for watching, and take it easy. Later.